You are listening to the Free to Be Mindful podcast, which invites you along on a journey to learn of mindful living, grow in mental health, and inspire through personal growth. In a world where we can often feel much stress and overwhelm, this podcast provides bite-sized tips and real talk conversations, empowering you to embrace mindfulness and nurture your full potential. I'm your host, Vanessa De Jesus Guzman, licensed therapist, retired educator, entrepreneur, and mom of two. I'm passionate about helping busy moms reduce the overwhelm and to live life intentionally without losing their, here we go. Hi, and welcome back to the Consult a Counselor series. In this series, I answer parenting-related questions so that you can reduce the overwhelm, find joy, and live life intentionally. Today's question is, school has started and we're already fighting about screen time. Help. What did we all do before we had any type of device in our hands or before our eyeballs were glued to our devices? Oh yeah, we actually talked to each other. Managing screen time can be so challenging for so many families because we're raising our kids with screens in front of their faces all of the time, even when we don't need to. And I'll give you an example. As I was getting ready for this and I was typing out my notes, I was holding my baby with my laptop right in front of me, my phone to my right, and the big screen TV in the background in my living room. Devices just seem to be everywhere all of the time. And I'm sure you've seen toddlers who can probably manage an iPhone with more ease than their grandparents can. Our society has definitely evolved. However, this doesn't mean that it's impossible. Keeping it real, it is much easier to control screen time when your kids are younger. That is, when they haven't become addicted to it fully quite yet. Then, when they're older, it's definitely much harder then. So, I'm going to offer you some tips that can be successful with both younger and older kids in your entire household. The first, set clear rules. In my home, these rules are actually written and posted. My son knows that he cannot use any gaming devices in the morning prior to going to school ever. And his times to use his gaming devices are Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. And Saturday and Sunday, he does have them from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. With breaks, of course, and I'm in control of those breaks. You don't have to implement these same times, but when you implement times to do tasks around the house and having these set as an expectation, these times set up as an expectations, it can reduce arguments overall. The second tip is that it may also help to have screen-free times and zones. We can't control what we don't know, but as a parent, you do have a say over your kitchen table. In my home, when we eat dinner, all phones must be put away. In addition, even though it is an everyday battle, I don't allow my son to have any electronics in his room. This not only includes his Nintendo Switch and DS, but it also includes his Chromebook and his Apple Watch. If your child has access to electronics in their rooms, most definitely collect them all in the evening when they're ready to go to sleep and place them in your room when you go to bed. It's just too tempting to leave a kid with all of these devices because they're going to be awake when you're not. It may sound really tough, but once the power has transferred over, it's hard to get it back. So, this is one of my biggest recommendations. The third tip is encourage educational content. And this may be a little bit more challenging than it sounds, I know, but it does work. My son, for example, loves YouTube as every other tween does. And I actually encourage him to watch it on our TV, which is signed in through his email, which blocks out age inappropriate content since he's a minor. I encourage him to watch YouTube on our TV because then I can keep an eye out on what he watches. I'm always listening in. We do discuss programming that I think is inappropriate, but then I also reinforce videos that are educational in nature. And would my former teacher self prefer that he be reading a book? Yeah, of course. But these are new times. So when he finds these videos, which he loves, that share random facts about states or the tallest buildings of the world or state flags, I know he's learning something. So I'm all about those. The fourth tip is stay active. This is a personal belief of mine, and that is that all kids should be involved in at least one extracurricular activity outside of the home. It may be a sport, a musical instrument, scouting, whatever it is that they have an interest in. Being involved will not guarantee that they'll not be on a device, but it does leave kids with less hours to fill on their own if their schedule is filled with activities that they enjoy. That's the caveat there. And the fifth tip is to be consistent. I know it's tiring and I know it takes out a ton of effort. However, the more consistent we are from the very start, from when our kids are young, the less likely our kids will break the rules over time. Now, don't get me wrong, they will definitely push the boundaries. They're kids, it's just what they do. But when you're more consistent, they are sure to know what your answer is going to be, regardless of their begging for a change or for that new thing that they want to do. Do you really know how to calm down when stress hits? Or maybe you're looking for ways to help your kids relax, but you're not sure where to start. These are common issues for my kid and mom clients. And after years of providing bits and pieces from other resources, I have finally created a comprehensive resource for my clients and for podcast listeners like you. This free resource provides you with 120 coping skills to navigate big feelings. This guide is filled with simple yet effective strategies to help you manage emotions and to help you find peace. And knowing that oftentimes a list just isn't enough, with your download, you'll also get access to a series of supportive videos which will guide you on how to use this resource and show you how to put these strategies into practice for everyday life. So are you ready to make that change? Click the link below to download your free guide. It's time to empower yourself and your children with the skills for a happier, healthier life. Remember that as parents, it's our responsibility to set our kids up for success. And this is regardless of how tiring it is or how old we are. We must keep up with the changing times and we must keep our kids' best interests at the forefront. And I do hope this helped. If you do think it's going to help another mom or dad friend, be sure to share it with them and hit the subscribe or follow button so that you don't miss the next video or podcast. If you have any questions for the Consultant Counselor series, you can always hit me up on the DMs at Counselor V De Jesus. And remember, in a world where you are free to be anything that you want to be, you are always free to be mindful. Thank you and catch you next time. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. It would mean a ton if you took this moment to review the Free to Be Mindful podcast on the platform you catch your favorite shows. That quick and easy act lets me know what you enjoy, and it helps others find the podcast too. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you can listen along next week. In the meantime, I welcome you to catch me on social media at Counselor V De Jesus. And as always, remember, in a world where you are free to be anything that you want to be, you are always free to be mindful. Catch you next week.